Hello there, one and all, and welcome to episode 363 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, live on YouTube as always. Thank you very much for tuning in, whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do consider doing so and make sure you click on the little bell to get notifications of new videos coming up. And I should say this, I don't say this often enough. I need to stop saying that I don't say it often enough, and I just need to say it. If you enjoy the video, it is really very helpful if you give it a thumbs up and give it a like, because it just helps with the YouTube thing, so I'm told, but thank you very much for tuning in anyway. Okay, what have we got in store for you for this video? The third one of the day so far. Another Guerlain, at the risk of sounding like a kind of LVMH mouthpiece today, because we started off with Dior and then we did one Guerlain, we're on another Guerlain. I promise you the final video that I've got planned for you for today has got nothing to do with LVMH. So yeah, start trying to guess what it might be. This is a flanker though. And this one comes with a little bit of a story as well, as well as the first video that I did today. This is a flanker of one of the all-time classics, Guerlain's Habit Rouge, which of course was composed by Jean-Paul Guerlain, released in 1965, went on to become one of the most successful perfumes of all time in France, certainly one of the most successful masculines, to the point that it not so much that it became a victim of its own success, but it had a little bit of that kind of Chanel No. 5 effect, where the subsequent generations found it difficult to adopt as their own signature scent because it reminded them so much of their dads and uncles and granddads and so on and so forth. I love it. The regular viewers will know that if I were forced, at gunpoint to come up with a sort of top 3 of my favorite scents, Habit Rouge would almost certainly be in that top 3. Sometimes I don't mind kind of whispering this to the mic. Very often it would probably be at the top of that top 3. So it is one of my most beloved scents of all time. I have got several bottles of it. I still think that my favorite is the original, the eau de toilette. There is just something about the balance of that eau de toilette. Although some historians are going to contact me now and say that the original was actually an eau de cologne. But okay, we can put that to one side for the moment. The version that is sold as the EDT now, I think, has got that the best balance. To me, it's a scent that just says all of the most beautiful things about masculinity, because there is something authoritative and strong and powerful about it, but also something deeply romantic and sensuous and poetic and forward thinking. I think those are the sorts of qualities that I tried to capture in my little review of it in the book. So I adore it. I probably don't wear it often enough, although you can see that this bottle of the EDT has done pretty well. Don't worry, I have got several backups, including a 200 ml bottle that I picked up in France a few years ago. The EDP I like very much as well. There's an extrait that was released a few years ago that I think is also pretty good, but there's something a little bit kind of heavy and lazy about it. Anyway, I didn't know until just a few weeks ago that there was a new version coming our way. I can't say that I was very excited about it because we had a version last year called Instinct or L'Instinct, which, well, not to put too fine a point on it, I actually thought was a bit of a failure. I seem to remember on the video that I did for it, trying very hard to be positive about it and thinking that its opening notes showed some promise. But if memory serves, as it developed, it just became really thin and uninvolving and uninspiring. And I've still got my bottle, for the sake of the collection. I won't give it away or do anything with it. I want my Habit Rouge collection to be as complete as possible. But I think I haven't worn it once since. I gave it a few more chances after doing the video, when I did the video review, and then that was it. So I wasn't expecting a huge amount from this release. There have been several other Habit Rouges along the way, but not as many as you might think. And just before doing this video, I tried to have a look to see how many there were. So the original came out in 1965, and if the interwebs are to be trusted, we had an eau de cologne, an eau de toilette, and an aftershave lotion. But, you know, I think we need to look at it a little bit more carefully to see which ones actually came out. Then in 1967, there was Habit Rouge Dry. And apparently, this was released because Jean-Paul Guerlain himself, it seems, was not crazy about Habit Rouge and thought it was too sweet. I'm pretty sure it was Sylvain Delacourt who told me this herself in an interview. And so he released a version which was meant to be less sweet, which was drier, but I don't think that did all that well. And then there was nothing for ages until in 2003 we got the eau de parfum. Then there was something called an eau de toilette légère in 2005. There was Habit Rouge Sport in 2009. I've got a bottle of that somewhere, and I think I enjoyed that one too. The Extrait came out in 2009 as well. And then there were lots that were basically the same juice that came out in different bottles. But the ones which were very definitely a different juice are Habit Rouge L'Eau, which came out, or L'Eau, in 2011, and then also Thierry Vasser's Habit Rouge Dress Code, which he did for the anniversary in 2015. And then, of course, I've mentioned Habit Rouge L'Instinct. Dress Code, I like. Dress Code is probably the kind of the most gourmand one, I guess, the most dressed up one. Anyway, I'm not stalling for time here. I'm trying to give you some sort of useful context. So I found out that this new one was coming, and I thought, oh, okay, what's it going to be like? And I was in France very, very briefly a couple of weeks ago, and I was walking past a Sephora, and I thought, oh, I wonder if they've got the new Habit Rouge. So I went in, they had the new Habit Rouge, and I thought, okay, let's just do it. Let's get it out of the way. Let's spray it. And I sprayed it. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is not Habit Rouge Instinct. And Madame Persolaise was in the shop as well, in another part of the shop. And so I just kind of did my thing, and I went up to her and I said, oh, what do you think of this? And she did an immediate kind of, oh, that's really, really nice, but it smells familiar. And I said, yeah, because it's the new Habit Rouge. And she said, oh, yes, so it is. That's really good. So immediately gets the thumbs up, the endorsement from her. And I really liked it. I really liked it. So, and then I haven't smelt it since. And this is a sample that was provided by the brand, by the UK branch of the brand. So I'm unsealing it with you here because I'd like to re-smell it and kind of think about, because it made me think lots and lots of things. It made me think, thank goodness it's a proper flanker, in the sense that you absolutely recognize the original scent. But it also reminded me of something, and I really couldn't put my finger on what it was that it reminded me of. I think the name is a bit odd because, you know, calling it Habit Rouge, Rouge Prive, it's kind of very annoying when you type it out as well, because you realize you have to type the word rouge twice, you know, right next to each other. But it's what is the current Habit Rouge, or the Guerlain masculine bottle, but a dark red. Let's have a spray. But I was really excited about this one, and I thought, oh, thank you, Guerlain. You know, people knock Guerlain so much, but I think for a brand that releases so many scents every year, they do have a fair number of hits. I suppose it's inevitable that they're also going to have a certain number of misses. Oh, it's really good. It's really good. And is it really good? Because they just haven't messed with the original. It's almost like maybe they thought, hang on, instead of trying to make something really, really different, let's just tweak the original ever so slightly, and maybe that will make it be rediscovered by a younger audience, and maybe that will give Habit Rouge a new lease of life. Because, yeah, I mean, it's totally Habit Rouge. In the sense that it's got that beautiful sparkling bergamot opening, and you immediately get a kind of this is the thing that I think makes it so poetic and romantic, because it's that gorgeous, gorgeous juxtaposition between a very, very, very dry leather, but also something really sweetly vanillic. The story goes that when Jean-Paul Guerlain composed Habit Rouge, he basically took Shalimar as his starting point and tried to do a kind of masculine version of Shalimar, and he succeeded. You know, you can smell the similarities between them very, very easily. But what's different about this? This one feels lighter. It feels maybe less encumbered by the past. And it's got something in it that I can only describe as slightly medicinal, which makes me think maybe it's slightly camphoraceous, slightly eucalyptusy. Maybe that's the kind of edge that they brought into it because they thought that this is the thing that would make it come across as more modern. I mean, quite frankly, I don't care if it smells vintagey, retro-y, because I love how it smells. But yeah, I think it's that kind of element is coming through. Something cooler, something pine-like, something camphoraceous, eucalyptusy. This is what I keep coming back to. What are all of you saying? It's like an Habit Rouge parfum, says Pradeep. Yeah, but we have the extrait already, right? And the extrait is not like this. I suppose it's closest to the EDT. And maybe what we should do is actually spray the EDT so that we can do a side-by-side comparison. Pradeep says it's very close to the original, which is, I think, why I like it. Alan says, anyone traveling from London Heathrow should know that the Guerlain has a very respectable and reasonably discounted presence there. Thank you very much, sir. Loved Chalemar says, Eco Jock reminds me of home. Beardy says, Habit Rouge L'Eau is one of my wife's favourites on me. She's ironically indifferent to the original. The only flanker I purchased over the years, maybe this one is next. Oh, this is one that I had already decided that if the brand weren't going to send me the usual sort of, press review sample thing, that I was going to buy this. There was no way that I could be without this in my collection. How's the vanilla situation here, says Ocilon. Well, same as in the EDT, I think. It's there, but it's not overpowering. Why the Guerlain hate, says Eco Jock. Oh, well, I suppose, how much time have you got? Yeah, probably too complicated a subject to get into now, but because a lot of people think that Guerlain should just be making Vol de Nuit and L'Heure Bleue all the time, which obviously they're not going to. A lot of people don't like their current output, but then a lot of people do. I mean, it's a complicated subject, right? Let's label the blotter. And let's have a spray of the EDT. Now, this bottle of the EDT is also probably getting on a bit. You can see from the logo that it's got the logo that they don't use so much anymore, because the logo changed to this one when I bought the EDP. Although even the EDP is probably, I do wish they still did these bottles. I did prefer these bottles. Let's just do one spritz of the EDT. I mean, it's probably not fair to do a side-by-side comparison of these two because that bottle is already, been around for a few years. Yeah, I think I would stick to what I said, that the EDT maybe actually is a touch sweeter. And it could be because, I'm kind of going a little bit nose blind by smelling them straight after each other. But the Rouge Prive has got this slight sense of walking into a chemist's at some point in the late 80s or early 90s. There's just the tiniest little and really, really attractive whiff of Dettol about it. Something quite antiseptic and I love that. I love that about it. I love the fact that there's this really, really unexpected twist to it. I don't really have a press release. I don't even know why they've done this perfume. I mean, is it just because they're doing whatever they can to reintroduce Habit Rouge to a new audience? What can I tell you, though? It says, a legend that transcends generations, a true statement of boldness and elegance. Like skilled cellar masters, Guerlain perfumers create a new blend from their secret reserve to elevate the elegance of Habit Rouge, making it more refined than ever. A masterful reinterpretation of the myth, an exceptional fragrance with hints of spirits. In the utmost secrecy, the facets of vanilla become liqueur-like thanks to an accord only known to the House of Guerlain. okay? For the Precious Habit Rouge Rouge Prive edition, which, by the way, apparently is a limited edition. So if you like the sound of it, you need to get ordering. It is going to be available in the UK, I'm told. Apparently, it's going to be an exclusive to John Lewis to start with, and then we'll go nationwide. This contrasting olfactory journey takes on a more noble and exclusive character than ever before, a splendid homage by Guerlain perfumers to the first amber fragrance for men. This new composition reinvents its legendary patchouli, vanilla, and leather accord in a more sensual and intense blend. Notes of tanned leather, so maybe that's that kind of slightly citrusy feel, mingled with the warmth of vanilla and captivating patchouli to reveal an exceptional interpretation of Habit Rouge, an outstanding Rouge Prive. And there's a quote from Delphine Jelk: Rouge Prive reinterprets the Habit Rouge myth with a new exceptional blend. The signature leather facet played in overdose and combined with bergamot and patchouli becomes even more sensual and intense. So, you know, nothing new being said there. So maybe that's the idea. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. And Madame Persolaise gave it, you know, kept giving it the endorse, because then after we'd been to the Sephora, we went and had a coffee, and I was just kind of smelling the blotter, smelling my hand, and sort of saying to her, "It's really good, isn't it? It's really, really good." And she was going, "Yeah, they've done a good job with that one." Yeah. So thank you, Guerlain. Thank you for showing that there is still life in the Habit Rouge story. Let me actually just label the blotter with the EDT as well. Yeah, the EDT now in comparison feels somehow quieter, younger. Like this is maybe a slightly more grown-up version of Habit Rouge. Okay, we are just about in time to do the final video. It will not be a Guerlain, it will not be an LVMH, but it will be something inspired by the past, inspired by the 1920s. So start having a guess about what it might be. But thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in a bit with the next one. Bye now.